Hey guys and grills, welcome to the official MLG guide to object programming in Java. Today we will be covering lesson 6.3, which is on constructors.
So, what are constructors? Basically, constructors are instance methods with the purpose of giving initial values to the object as it's created. For every class that you create, Java already has a default constructor created for you. The default constructor assigns Boolean values to false, numeric values to 0, and all other values that aren't Boolean or numeric to null. So for example, string values would be given the value of null, or even object values that were created in a different class would be given the value of null.
Okay, I think it's time we create an object. Let's create a pizza object.
So for our pizza object, the fields we'll have are toppings number 1, 2, and 3, the drink, the size of the pizza, the number of pizza dips they want, and also a Boolean option for a Dorito chip bag. So here's Tyrone. He is the customer that wants to buy pizza. We could think of him as the person who's using the program that was created by the pizza store. So he would have to call the pizza store, similar to how he would make a method call to the constructor.
Okay, let's see what happens when Tyrone makes an order for pizza.
Hello, my name is Tyrone. I would like to make an order for a standard pizza meal.
Okay, here's your order, Tyrone.
You what, mate? This order sucks.
So Tyrone's pizza order sucks. So let's see why it sucks. There's no toppings at all. There's no drink. There's also no pizza dip, no Dorito chip bag, and it comes in this really weird size as well. So looking at his pizza, it looks like the pizza store gave Tyrone the values of the default constructor that was automatically created. As you can see, the 3 toppings are set to null. That's why there's just a plain cheese pizza. There's no drink, as the drink option is set to null as well. The Dorito chip bag is set to false. The size is null, and the number of dips is set to 0. Okay, so now let's create our own default constructor that will override the one that was automatically created, because we want to set our own default values instead of using the one that was automatically created, since it had values like null, 0, and false.
Alright mate, let's make our own default, yay. Let's have topping number 1 as Ripperino Pepperino. Topping number 2 and 3 can stay as null. For the drink let's have Dartsony water as the default. For the number of dips let's have 1 as the default number. For the Dorito chip bag let's have it as true. And finally for the size let's have it as medium. Do you like my Khan Academy paint skills?
Okay, so with these default values, when the customer orders the pizza, they won't get the previous default values, the ones that was automatically created. Instead, they'll get the ones that we created. So they will get pepperoni topping, they'll get a Dorito chip bag, they'll get the Dasani water, they would get medium-sized pizza instead of that really weird size, and they will also get 1 pizza dip instead of 0. So it's really important when you're creating an object to override the default constructor that was already implemented by Java and to make your own one. So now that we have the default constructor overridden,
Alright mate, let's make more constructors, woohoo.
we can overload as much constructors as we want, as each constructor will be unique in its own way, as they will have different kinds of initialization values for the object. So going back to our pizza, let's say Tyrone doesn't want to just buy a standard pizza. Maybe he wants to get a different drink, or he wants to have different toppings. Maybe he doesn't want the chip bag. Maybe he wants more dip. So, as the pizza store, we will make a constructor that will let Tyrone choose which way he wants his pizza meal.
Hello, my name is Tyrone. I would like to make an order for a extra large pizza. I would like ripperino pepperino on my pizza along with mushrooms and green peppers. I would like a bottle of Mountain Dew. 4 pizza dips please. Dorito chip bag as well.
Okay, so for this constructor, we're going to make it so that it takes in the order from the customer Tyrone and uses those values as the initial values. So you can think of the values that the customer gives as what you would put in the parameters of the program, and whatever you put as your parameters, those values will be the initial values that the constructor assigned. Okay, so we're going to change these values into the values that he placed on his pizza meal order. And here is the result. Okay, so let's say Tyrone wants to make 2 identical pizza orders. So we can make a constructor to copy the values from the first pizza he makes onto the second pizza he orders. That way he will have 2 of the same pizzas with the same values.
Alright mate, I think it's time we do some coding.
What's going on guys, it's me Hamza Khan. So as you can see here, this is the default constructor for our pizza object.
So the correct way to write the method header for the default constructor is to start off with public first. Since constructors are instance methods, we don't write the word static. Constructors don't have a return type in the method header, not even void.
This is because it is implicit that the method returns an object of the type of the object, which in this case is pizza. Anyways, after that we put the method identifier, which is always the name of the class. So we write pizza here.
Lastly, we put in the brackets for the parameter list. Since this is the default constructor and it doesn't take any values of the parameter list, it's empty. Moving on, the body of the constructor, the values of the fields are getting the values we want to set as the default. For example, topping 1 starts off with the value null, but since we make it as it gets the value of pepperoni, the new value is pepperoni. Let's output the value of pizza object using the default constructor. So the values we call it is a bit different than the other instance method. So let's name our pizza object P1, and that's right, P1 gets new pizza bracket. These nuts. Sorry, I just rudely interrupted. Now let's write pizza P1 gets pizza brackets. This is how you call the constructor. So like I said, this is the difference between a regular instance method. What's the difference between the other instance method? Uses the format implicit value followed by dot method header, then parameter list, whereas the constructor calls it by writing pizza object. So that's P1 followed by the word new and the object, then the parameter list. So now let's see if the values of P1 matches our default constructor. And yeah, it does. Let's move on to the second constructor. We talked about it earlier. The one that allows the customer to change the values of whatever he wants of using the default values. Actually, this method is super dipper, similar to the first one. We still have public pizza, but only difference is the parameter list. Basically, we just put in the explicit values that will replace for the implicit values. Let's make num of dips to the value of 4. When we call it, this will replace the previous value, which is 0. Anyways, moving on to the body, this is similar to the default one. Only difference is instead of our default values replacing the instance fields, we have the explicit values from the parameter list replacing these values. Now let's test it and call it pizza P2. So pizza P2 gets new pizza. Now we'll write all the values that we changed in the parameters. Okay, now let's output the pizza to see if it matches the pizza parameters. And yeah, it does. Moving on to our last constructor, the one that allows you to copy
The values
of a previous object, which is newly made objects, so that you have 2 identical constructors. So this is similar to the previous one. You write public pizza, but for the parameters we will put in the explicit pizza object that will take over the field value, so let's write that as pizza other. Now onto the body, similar to the default constructor. The implicit values will be replaced with the different ones. The different values will be coming from the parameter pizza other. So we'll write this as all the implicit values get the values of the explicit other pizza. Now let's call the constructor to see if our code works. So let's make our pizza p3 get the exact value as the previous one created object p2. So we write pizza p3 gets new pizza brackets p3 brackets semicolon. Now let's output p3 to see if it gets the values as p2, and let's compare the two values. Yes, it matches the other one, so it works. Yay!
But wait. Pizza is Illuminati confirmed.